To round out a fantastic weekend of racing at Imola, it is time for the final race in the 2017 Lamborghini Super Trofeo World Final. The pros and the pro-ams come to the grid as once more the European, the North American and the Asian Championship best go toe-to-toe. 50 minutes of racing ahead of us to determine two more world champions, the pro-am winners and the pro category as well. It is an entry list rich with talent, and it promises to be a great way to round out a wonderful weekend of all things Lamborghini here at Imola. The teams have been here for the best part of a week. There was meant to be testing Monday, Tuesday. That got snowed off. We've had instead a Thursday of qualifying. We've had Friday racing and then qualifying and racing yesterday. 2 races today, plus prize givings, plus media laps, plus GT drives, plus all sorts of related Lamborghini activity. And now the last race of the weekend is good to go. Welcome along. David Addison trackside, Dakota Jane on the grid. The sun shines. The temperature is a little on the cool side, it must be said. But everybody wrapped up warm, looking forward to some red-hot action as we get ready to go. The view over at Tosa with not a cloud in the sky at this lovely old-school circuit. On pole position for this race, Rick Brokers, the Dutch driver, who is way back in the championship, out of the running effectively because his co-driver Axel Jeffries put the car in the gravel yesterday. Rick Brokers gets a point for pole position, but in terms of winning the world final, he's really out of the hunt, but he might be able to squeeze a podium result out of this. In terms of who is where on points, take the points for pole position into account. Trent Hyman and Riccardo Agostini, the North American champions, are 4 ahead of Loris Spinelli and Mick Argrenia. Patrick Kujala and Richard Antonucci third, ahead of last year's world final winner Dennis Lin, sharing with Andrea Amici. Then it's Austin Versteeg and Jeroen Mul, ahead of Rafael Abati and Yuki Nomoto. Jonathan Cicotto and Vito Postiglione are a long way back, ahead of Afik Yazid and Kei Cozzolino, with Michele Beretta and Catherine Legg 9th, and creeping into the points, Axel Jeffries and Rick Brokers with a point for pole, tying them with Archer Janosch and the British driver Toby Sowry. Pro-Am, that's headed by Eduardo Piscopo and the Brit Taylor Proto. They're 4 points up on Niels Lagrange and Peter Van Ester. Brandon Godovic and Emmanuel Onassis next. They got a point for pole to factor in. Nico Eskellen and Max Abanal are next from Lucas Maron and Nico Gomar, with Paul Scheusner and Hendrik still 1 ahead of Shotrab Kazava and Calvin Snooks, who ended up in the gravel bed yesterday. So that is how we look as far as the championship is concerned going into this deciding race. You take the points for both. If you end up with a tie on points, it is the better combined qualifying time. Add Q1 to Q2 for the 2 different drivers, and the faster combined time gives you the edge. So let's go to the grid. Dakota is down there.
Correct, as you are. I am down here on the grid. It's another spectacular looking grid. Now I am with pole position Axel Jeffrey and Rick Brokers. Axel, this is going to be a really tough race for you.
It is, but to be honest, we don't really have that much pressure. Obviously, after yesterday's race, we have nothing to lose, so we're just going to go full attack and go for the win. And
what was your highlight of the season?
Oh, there's been many things. Obviously, we won the championship. Europe, we came close, but probably speaking to you every race weekend has been quite a highlight.
I'm so flattered. Good luck.
Thank you.
What a charmer, hey? Middle East champion it was that Axel Jeffries won at the start of the season. The new Middle East Championship that ran in February and March in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And Axel Jeffries and Rick Brokers were the champions there. Rick Brokers has also raced this year in the European Series, and he has been the Pro-Am champion in the Asian Series. Didn't do the North American, but he has done the TCR Benelux and the 24-hour series and made his Le Mans 24-hour debut. There are precious few weekends where Rick Brokers doesn't find something to drive, and he's been in most races over the course of this weekend. There is the pole position car. Race director Daniele Gagliardi standing alongside it, just ready to have a quick word, no doubt, about the rolling start procedure, because, of course, when the pace car peels in, it's up to the pole man to control everything. There, number 6 on the inside of the front row is Rafael Abati, the Brazilian driver. He starts. Yuki Nomoto, the co-driver, with whom he shared a European win on Friday afternoon, their first of the season. And that is a car that could well be there or thereabouts over the course of the race, but they are only 6th in the championship. Let's go back to Dakota.
I'm with 4th place, Richard Antonucci. Now, you've got a bit of a problem. Tell me about that.
We're not sure. We just discovered it on the out lap. So you know how we do a warm-up lap to come on the grid. Patrick Kujala, my teammate, the guy driving now, said that there's something wrong. It did come here, and it sounded strange, the engine. I'm really hoping that there's nothing wrong, but as you can see behind me, if you can see, there are some Lamborghini engineers, technicians trying to fix it. I hope it's solvable, obviously. This would be horrible to lose it without even starting and having a chance to have a fair crack at it, no? We've come a long way with the team and we fought here. We're in the fight, so I hope we can really... Nothing happened.
Well, they're getting the back on, yeah, so let's see how it goes.
Okay, ciao.
So what sort of problem Richard doesn't reveal, but a problem. There was a report that the car was slow to the grid. There is Jonathan Cecotto and Vito Postiglione's car, 23. Vito came here with Jonathan as a potential European champion, but that all ebbed away, I'm afraid, in the first race where they were done for a jump start, and also the car went off the road early on. So Vito had a puncture, in fact, early on. So Vito Postiglione lost that, but they've not really looked on the pace, it has to be said, across the World Final races. But Jonathan Cecotto put the car third on the grid, and then fourth is the rather troubled Bonaldi car you've just been hearing about. It's Patrick Kujala, the Finn, who will go first, but clearly Finns aren't what they used to be for that car because it's got this problem. It's on the grid, engine had fired up, and at the 3-minute boards it's got to be off the jacks and on the ground. Well, it is, and there's a handshake for Patrick Kujala, so they're good to go. Dakota, let's rejoin her.
I'm with Dennis Lind, last year's world champion 2016. What does it feel like being back here, driving a Lamborghini on a fantastic track like Imola?
As you said, it's fantastic. There's a lot of people here. I have a lot of people from Denmark coming to support me, so it's really nice to be here. We had a bit of a crash Thursday, so we're a bit back in the order because my teammate, he was a little bit hurt during the qualifying, so I will bounce back today for sure.
Now you're going to be charging and pushing and give those boys at the front a good run for their money?
Just like yesterday, yes.
Perfect. Good luck. Thanks.
Dennis Lind was a bit of a star yesterday in his first stint. Andrea Amici, who is a former champion, wasn't as quick, so the car did drop away in the last stint, but we'll see whether, as he's getting himself all pumped up, Andrea Amici can stay in the mix in the first stint. Pit window between 20 and 30 minutes. There is the European Championship winning car, number 17. That is fifth on the grid. Mick Grenier will go first. They're second in the championship for World Final purposes, behind the car that they are ahead of on the grid, if you're following all of this. 101 Trent Heinemann going first with Riccardo Agostini as his co-driver in the Wayne Taylor Racing run car. You'll see it in a few moments, the largely black with the blue stripe car of the North American champions who've had 6 wins this season. There it is. This could be the World Final winning car, but 50 minutes of action have got to go through first before we can really start thinking about points. But Trent Heinemann will go first, the very quick American driver. Riccardo Agostini, former Carrera Cup Italia champion, and another very, very fast driver who's done the bulk of his racing this year in America. One to watch. There's 150, which is the car leading in Pro-Am. Taylor Proto, the Brit, in his first season of racing as well. He will go first. Dad has been racing in the North American Championship on occasions this year. Eduardo Piscopo is the man that will share that car with him, and Eduardo is very rapid as well. Indeed, he was the 2014 World Final Pro class winner at Sepang. Other World finalists that we've got on the grid: Patrick Kujala won in 2015, and as you've heard, Dennis Lind was the Pro winner in 2016. The likes of Kevin Conway, Lawson Aschenbach, Jake Rattenbury, Corey Lewis, although he has been racing here this weekend, Ryan Occhi, Andrea Fontana, Lorenzo Veglia, Adrian Amstutz, they are not taking part these days. Last year's Lamborghini Cup World Final winner, Ross Twest, has been here racing in the AM class, but has had a pretty difficult weekend. So we had a new Lamborghini Cup champion crown this morning. That was Gerard van der Horst. The Pro-Am World Final champions have been confirmed. The AM, I should say, have been confirmed as Florian Scholzer and Philip Vlasic. Pro-Am headed then by Eduardo Piscopo and Taylor Proto, and Pro headed by Trent Heinemann and Riccardo Agostini. They are 4 points ahead of Loris Spinelli and Mikael Grenier. It's 15 for a win, it's 12 for second, then 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1 with a point for pole position. So Rick Broker's there in the black and red car on pole, the young Dutchman. He's got 1 point in his pocket, but after yesterday's none score with Axel Jeffries going into the gravel, that is all they have. This is Patrick Kujala's view, the Finnish driver who we've seen in the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup, amongst lots of other activities that he's had this year, and has formed a very nice relationship with Mark Lemmer's Barwell squad, successfully so, with his former Super Trofeo co-driver Adrian Amstutz, who we wish well after his accident at Spa back in the summer. The green flag is about to be waved to get racing underway then. The cars accelerate away, and we'll see now on this formation lap whether all is good as far as Patrick Kujala's Bonaldi Motorsport car is concerned. We should have, coming into this, 23 cars on the grid. I say should have because one of them that didn't race yesterday, Gianluca Girardi, Kiko Galbiati's car, is shown as being at the back of the grid on the grid sheet, but having gone off into the barriers in qualifying yesterday, missed out on yesterday's race. Rick Brokers, though, will start on pole position. Rafael Abate lines up alongside him. The second row of the grid is where you find Jonathan Cecotto in the blue and yellow Imperiale racing car, and alongside him Patrick Kujala for Bonaldi Motorsport. The third row of the grid has Mikael Grenier, the Canadian nationality driver, winner of the European Championship this year with Loris Spinelli, and then Nicolas Costa starts in the Vincenzo Sospiri racing entry, shared with Edoardo Liberati alongside. Then the championship leaders in Pro, Trent Hindman starts, alongside him is Toby Sowery. Behind them come the Asian Championship winners. Zafik Yazid starts, Kay Cozzolino the co-driver, with Jack Bartholomew starting in the car he shares with Spike Goddard, ahead of Jan Kissiel, whose car had problems yesterday, and the British lady racer Catherine Legg sharing with Michele Beretta, going from 12th on the grid, ahead of Andrea Amici, who shares with Dennis Lind. Austin Versteeg has Jeroen Mul as a partner. That's going to be a car to watch, certainly in the hands of Jeroen Mul. Austin Versteeg having had 2 outright wins in the North American Championship this year. Rory Collingbourne and Taylor Proto are on the next row of the grid, ahead of the quick Canadian, bit of a star in the making, Max Ebenal, and Emmanuel Onassis will be alongside him, ahead of Nico Gomar and Peter Venesta. They have quicker co-drivers to come in the second stint. Shota Abkazova will go first in the car from the Artline Team Georgia squad, lining up alongside Paul Scheusner for the Conrad team, and Gianluca Girardi will be the man at the back. No time set because they missed the qualifying session. The car went off in both of the European races on Friday. It went off again at the start of qualifying yesterday. So assuming there are enough bits, and believe me, teams are telling you that the spares truck is running on empty now. If there are enough parts and enough time was there last night, hopefully the car will be on the back of the grid. So down behind the lead car they come. This is the run down to Rivazza, the double apex left-hander that then brings the cars up towards the pit straight, where we had a very spectacular race-stopping accident between JC Perez and Ryan Hardwick at the end of the earlier race today. Drivers okay, cars a bit crumpled, but the decider of the World Final weekend, the Pro-Am and the Pro Showdown, is about to get underway as the cars now accelerate their way up towards the timing line. The grid is complete. The race is 50 minutes long. There's a mandatory pit window, and the cars slowly, on the instruction of the race director, make their way up towards the timing line. That's a long way down the pit straight after the last corner. When the lights go from red to green, we will be in business. Rick Brokers there with Jonathan Cecotto almost pushing him along. They accelerate now. The lights will go green, and we are racing for the last time this weekend, and Brokers gets the jump on everybody with Cecotto trying to go with him on the inside there. On the outside line, it is going to be Abate as they dive down towards Tamburello. And where is Trent Hyman in all of this as Grenier goes up into 4th place? Cecotto gets run out wide, but he's going to come back through for second. Is he? No, not quite. Abate fends him off. Cecotto third. Grenier looks for the inside line down towards Villeneuve. Grenier in the black and orange car tries to get through on the inside, and he does so. Goes third. 4th then, it's Cecotto. 5th is Kujala. 6th is Nicolas Costa, and only 7th is Trent Hyman with work to do here. Down towards Tosa they come for the first time. Challenge made by Andrea Amici up on the inside line in 2.63 to go ahead of the 2.05 Jack Bartholomew car. Wide up the curb there. Further back in the pack, Jan Kissiel, the pole, the former Audi TT Cup champion. And the leaders blast over the brow for the first time towards Perotella. Downhill they turn. Andrea Amici then on a mission to try and get the car as high up the order as he can before Dennis Lind takes it over. And Dennis got the fastest lap of the race yesterday. We have an early report of a spin for Shota Abkazova, as very wide indeed there was going, I think, Kissiel coming out of Acqua Minerale. The leader, however, is Rick Brokers trying to get away here from Abate, and then it's Grenier third. Kujala goes a little bit wide, and that's going to give Nicolas Costa a chance to challenge if there's a gap on the inside. But he gets a face full of Finn there. Kujala moves across and defends as they drop down the hill into Rivazza for the first time. Brokers leading the way then. Abate is second. Third is Grenier. 4th is Cecotto, and that's Zafik Yazid versus Toby Sowery, and Sowery goes through on the inside. The BRDC Rising Star goes ahead of the Malaysian driver as they come up towards the timing line at the end of lap 1. Brokers leading them by 3/10, and there's an incident under investigation. Shota Abkazova, I think, was tapped into the spin by Peter Van Ester. And so that is being looked at by the officials as they're over the line. Patrick Kujala tries to fend off Nicolas Costa, and he does so for 5th and 6th places. 7th only is Trent Hyman. He didn't seem to sparkle in the qualifying session, and at the moment, he's not making the progress that he needs to, especially with Grenier running in 3rd place. Now, to the abacus, to the points. If Mick Grenier finishes 3rd, and Heinemann is 6th or lower, and that is exactly the situation we have, then it gives the World Championship to Grenier and to Loris Spinelli, the co-driver. So Heinemann has got to start somehow gaining places out of all of this. Admittedly, 47.5 minutes remain. We're not done yet, far from it, as they swoop through the Piratella for the 2nd time. Nicolas Costa plunges downhill here. Through Acqua Minerale they come. You can hear the cars dropping down through the gears. 101 Trent Heinemann then accelerates up the hill in the car run by the Wayne Taylor Racing Squad. The South African, domiciled in America, very successful sports car star Wayne Taylor. And there in stripe is the Pro-Am leading car in the points, 150. That is Taylor Proto, who was down in 22nd place anyway. And he's had another drama, dropping him down the order. And so that now gives Eduardo Piscopo a real fight to get up the order. Leading then in Pro-Am on track is Emmanuel Onassis in the car that he shares with Brandon Godovic as the race leaders from Pro come now down through Rivazza. We're on lap 2. Number 2 is Jan Kisiel, the Polish driver whose car had problems on Friday and indeed yesterday. And side by side up towards the timing line here. Kujala is about to get jumped by Nicolas Costa. This is for 5th. They're side by side. On the inside line is Costa, and now Trent Heinemann tries to go through as well. He's got a toe. Has he got the inside line? No, he hasn't, and nor did Costa. Get past Kujala, who goes deep into Tamburello, gets up the curb. Here comes Heinemann to try and find a way past Costa, and he can't quite do it either. Now he makes a move to the inside line, but he's coming under attack. Toby Sowry in the black and orange car. There goes round the outside, and Sowry will go through. Great move. Trent Heinemann, instead of gaining places, is losing them. He's got Afit Yazid crawling all over the back of him now as well. The young Malaysian driver, the Asian champion in the pro class this year. Wow, all action, but Trent Heinemann's final aspirations are starting to evaporate at the moment. He's gone down 1 place then. He's fallen to 8th, and Grenier 3rd is on target for the title here. Downhill they come then. Rick Brokers leads the way. Rafael Abate only 6th in terms of points for the world final. So it's still this showdown really between the Grenier Spinelli car and the now fading Heinemann Agostini entry. But what could Riccardo Agostini do in the 2nd stint? And what else, of course, has this opening part of the race got to shake out? There's Kujala under attack still from Nicolas Costa, the Brazilian driver, former Brazilian stock car racer, GT racer. Right on the tail of Patrick Kujala as they drop downhill now. Is he going to be able to make a move? He goes to the outside line. Needs to get the undercut really for the 2nd element of Rivazza. And while these two are busy squabbling, they are being caught, look, by Toby Sowry, the British driver who's been racing in the Asian series this year with good success with a win in China. Is closing up on Nicolas Costa ahead of him. A long, long time ago, Nicolas was on the grid of a British Formula Ford race, but once he has raced in the Italian Formula Abarth Championship, winning the title in 2012, and he goes through, and there's contact as Kujala gets run out wide. Sowry's going to gain another place. Is he around the outside? Yes. And Trent Heinemann still looking for positions, still can't get through. But Kujala, a former European champion, a world final winner, dropped 2 spots. Nicolas Costa goes through, and also up and past him is Toby Sowry, who missed the first Asian race of the weekend with an electrical problem. But race by race, that car that he shares with Arturo Llanos is getting faster and faster and faster as they climb out of Tosa now. Incidents under investigation, 233, which is the Max Ebenal car, and 150 of Taylor Proto. We saw Taylor recovering, but potentially Max Ebenal, the quick Canadian, may have been involved in that as well. So the stewards are having a look at it as the leading pack dives downhill now. It's still Brokers from Abate from Grenier, Chicotto running 4th, and then this battle pack is 5th. Costa, Sowry, Kujala, Heinemann, Yazid, Amici to round out the top 10 that score the points. And you can see the way now that the leading quartet has got away. Patrick Kujala under attack now from Trent Heinemann. Kujala's car with that little bit of damage, of course, sustained at Tamburello. Is that going to affect it much? Is that going to give Trent Heinemann a chance to challenge? He's got to start picking off some places, though, and soon. Down towards Rivazza they come. Can he get up the inside for the 2nd element? He can't. It's how he got the lead of the race yesterday against Mick Grenier, but not able to take the 7th place away from Kujala. Up towards the timing line they come. Rick Brokers here with nothing to lose, going all out for the fastest lap, which he has got to try and build the race lead, which he has over Rafael Abate. Here is Hyndman on the back of Kujala. He goes to the inside at Tamburello, but he wasn't close enough to make that move as they sweep through the first part of the old fabled corner. The new chicane, of course, put in after the tragic accidents of 1994. Slows the cars down, breaks the flow of the corner. Short run down towards Villeneuve, and Hyndman's getting a bit more toey now. Look, crawling all over the back of Kujala. Left and right through the Variante Villeneuve, down towards Tosa they come. And this will be a chance for Hyndman to have a look at the inside, but not able to really have a go there. The last thing he needs, of course, is to get contact and end up not finishing at all. So he wants the places and he wants the points, but he doesn't want to put himself in jeopardy. You've also got to start factoring in the second drivers in these leading cars and whether there are any places that might easily be gained in the second stint by Riccardo Agostini. Out of Acqua Minerale they come. The other element to all of this is that we're all on double driver cars in that leading group, so if you're a soloist, you have an extra 3 seconds in the pits, but it is kind of irrelevant that for the leaders because they're all shared cars, so they're all doing 1 minute and 40 in the pits. And again, look, Hyndman is much, much quicker and closer coming out of Variante Alta, right on the tail of Kujala as they drop downhill in the car that had a problem heading to the grid. Patrick Kujala's car. Again, Hyndman goes wide in, tries to, oh no, he clipped the curb there. I was going to say goes tight through the corner, but it didn't work for him. He got the curb instead, and that caused the car to be unsettled, and he's lost a length or two as he comes up towards the line now. Broker's lead shrinking down from 11 tenths to 9 tenths. Now, Abate is second. It's still Mick Grenier third. Mikael Grenier, the Canadian, is ahead of Jonathan Cecotto. Then fifth is Nicolas Costa. Sixth is Sauri. Seventh and eighth, still Kujala ahead of Hyndman. Ninth is Yazid, and 10th is Andrea Amici. The earlier AM and Lamborghini Cup race was drama-filled with 3 safety cars, and it ended with a red flag. Let's see what the pros and the pro-ams have up their sleeves with still 41 minutes just under remaining. And now look, Hyndman still can't get past Kujala, and he's being caught by Afik Yazid, who will give that car over to Kei Cozzolino, the quick Italian-Japanese driver. Wide up the curb goes Kujala, but Hyndman again not really able to take full advantage of that as they climb the brow. Rick Brokers then continues to lead. There in 5th place is Nicolas Costa, and 7 is the leading car. That is Rick Brokers. Out of Acqua Minerale. You plunge downhill, you turn through that double apex right, you climb the other side of the brow towards Variante Alta then. Over the brow, hit the brakes, turn right, turn left. And then the cars sprint their way down the hill once again. Down towards Ravazza they go. We're on lap number 6. Mick Grenier third, coming under attack from Jonathan Cecotto. Now the other lifeline in the race for Hyndman and Agostini is if others can get past Grenier and Spinelli. At the moment, it is Cecotto with the best chance of doing that as they come out of Ravazza and head up towards the line. So through goes Rick Brokers. The lead is 9 tenths of a second from Abate and Grenier. It is in 4th place Cecotto, ahead of Costa and Toby Sauri, and then this fight between Kujala and Hyndman continues. There is a 1/10 of a second between them, and now possibly Hyndman is close enough. No, he has a look, but still can't really get up alongside as they approach Tamburello. Imola is not the easiest circuit at which to overtake, and it's being borne out at the moment, isn't it, as the cars sprint down towards Villeneuve once more. We're on lap 7. We saw yesterday when Hyndman was able to gain places, he soon pulled away, but it's being able to find the real estate to make the move that's hard. He has a look up the inside at Tosa, can't do it there. What he wants to do really is force an error out of Kujala, who goes wide coming out of Tosa. Meantime, we've now got 2nd, 3rd and 4th starting to bunch up a little bit, because last time there Grenier in the Antonelli car was quicker than Abate ahead of him, and Cecotto running 4th at the moment is the fastest man on the circuit in the leading gaggle, because he's closing up onto Grenier, who's closing on Abate, and they're lapping quicker. Cecotto's car is lapping quicker than Rick Brokers in the lead. A couple of laps back, Nicolas Costa set the fastest lap of the race. He's 5th, but right now it's Cecotto who's on a mission. His first season of Lamborghini racing, he's had race wins. He's not going to be a world champion, but he wants to go out of the season on a high if he can, as there Hyndman still runs behind Kujala downhill. Into Ravazza they will turn in a moment. They're a bit lonely. 5th is Costa, 6th behind is Sauri, who's got away, look, from Kujala. And again, Hyndman tries the wide in and tight out line, and he's going to work this time. He's up the inside as Kujala goes wide. Trent Hyndman goes through, gains 1 place, goes wide, and Kujala fights back. They are going to be side by side over the line. It's a real drag race now, down towards Tamburello. You're riding with Kujala. Clear road ahead, but right alongside, there he is Trent Hyndman. Kujala will have the inside line for Tamburello. This is all about bravery and who can break the latest, and it's Kujala who goes back through. He retakes the place then. 7th goes back to Patrick Kujala, and Trent Hyndman has got to do the hard work all over again. Afik Yazid right there behind to further distract Trent Hyndman. Andrea Amici 10th is part of that battle pack as well now as they come through Villeneuve. Meantime, in Pro-Am, it is Emanuel Onassis leading from Nico Gomar and Peter Van Ester. Max Abenal is 4th, 5th is Girardi from the back of the grid, and 6th in class is Taylor Prote, giving Eduardo Piscopo a lot of work to do in part 2 of the race in the second stint. Climbing the hill then, we're on lap 8 now. Patrick Kujala, the cork in the bottle a bit here. Trent Hyndman's efforts then to get past him came to naught as they plunge downhill once again. Through they turn, 2.63, Andrea Amici trying to get onto the back of Afik Yazid there, the Malaysian driver, Asian champion overall this year. And up they come into the Variante Alta once again. Hyndman clips the curb, tries to shorten the line. You know exactly what he's going to try coming down the hill, though. He's going to get right onto the back of Kujala and try his demon move through to Vatsa. Kujala should be getting wise to this. He covers the middle of the road as they drop down the hill. Brakes late. Hyndman will try and get the switch back. Is it going to work? No. Kujala's there already. He moves across, and Hyndman getting ever more frustrated now as they both run way wide, coming out of Ravazza up towards the line. Very wide has gone Amici, and that delays him as Kujala goes through, still being chased hard by Hyndman. Nose to tail they run. The leaders are on lap 9. We're 6 minutes away from the pit window opening. Towards Tamburello they come. It remains Kujala in 7th. Trent Hyndman is 8th. Not enough to be world champions, with Grenier's car running in 3rd place. And it's possible that when Loris Spinelli is... off the road goes Grenier, coming out of Villeneuve. He tries to fight back, and there's contact against Cecotto, who gets tagged around. Cecotto in the gravel. This might have 2 repercussions. One, a safety car to get him out of the gravel, and one, a penalty for number 17. You saw Grenier go wide. He got back on, having lost a place. He tried to fight back and tipped Cecotto into a spin. Jonathan Cecotto then is on the edge of the road. And although the officials might be able to get that out of the way quickly, my fear would be that it's going to result in a safety car period. We will wait and see. Daniele Galbiati, who is the race director, won't throw the safety car if he can avoid it. If it can be covered under a waved yellow flag, then that's what he will choose to do. But Cecotto is not going anywhere under his own steam, I fear. Now there, having gone wide, was Grenier. He's all over the grass. Cecotto is clearly ahead. Grenier tries to fight back on the inside. Cecotto turns in, gets a little tap from behind, and around he goes. And that straight away is under investigation. That moment could be the undoing for Grenier and Spinelli. Let us see as the leaders go through. Brokers is up front. No suggestion yet of any need for a safety car, so hopefully it can just be a double waved yellow flag and a snatch vehicle down at Tosa, and the race won't need interrupting. It's 0.9 of a second between Brokers in the lead, and there behind him Rafael Albati. Holland leads Brazil in Italy. 3rd then is the Canadian driver Mikael Grenier, and 4th right up with him now is Nicolas Costa. What that has done, perversely, is give Trent Hyndman a place, of course. So yellow flags wave as they come towards Tosa, which means no overtaking. There, now 6th is Kujala, now 7th behind him is Trent Hyndman. And what will the stewards deem about the incident? They have been pretty hot on penalising contact. Only one car not circulating, and it is Cecotto after that tip into the gravel. So he's the only one that we have lost, and he pressured and pressured and pressured to try to gain the place, finally did it, and then got that little contact. So here is Hyndman looking to the inside Aqua Minerale this time. He's getting ever more committed to this as he tries to find a way up the order. That car needs 2 places to be sure of winning the world final, number 101. Patrick Kujala then is ahead, currently running in 6th spot. The timing screen says incident involving cars 17 and 23 at turn 6 under investigation, and everybody holds their breath for more news about the Grenier-Cecotto coming together. We are 3 minutes and counting away from the pit window opening. When do you make your stop? There's a yellow waving there. Has somebody had a moment coming out of Ravazza? Yes, they have. It is Nicolas Costa's car in the gravel. Look, number 10, Nicolas Costa there has got it wrong, and so that gives Trent Hindman another place. He's up to 6th. It's not enough. He needs one more place. So Trent Hindman gains ground. Nicolas Costa, number 10, off the road in the car shared with Edoardo Liberati. That's a yellow at Ravazza, and let's see what he did. Oh, Grenier's involved in that one as well, look. We didn't see the start of it, but the two cars arrived as one, and so Mick Grenier involved in a second tangle, and the safety car is deployed this time. Safety car comes out, and so that will close the pit window if we get to the 20-minute mark and the safety car is still out, so 2 minutes, it will delay the opening of the pit window. There's Edoardo Liberati, who was ready to take over from Nicolas Costa, but I'm afraid that the car of the Brazilian is in the gravel bed, and so the safety car has been deployed. So we've lost Costa and we've lost Cecotto. All of a sudden, the race takes on a different complexion. That's Riccardo Agostini, who will take over Trent Hindman's car.
We can't pit on the safety.
No, we cannot. We know.
Riccardo Agostini making sure the team is aware that you can't pit while the safety car is out. The team saying, yep, we know. And so, as the fans have a quick look at their spotter's guide to make sure they can recognise who is where, the leaders will all bunch up, and the order will be Brokers from Abati. Toby Sowry going great guns here, up into 3rd place. That could be a dark horse for a race win, actually, because Arthur Janos, who will take it over, is a quick driver as well. 4th is Michael Grenier. 5th is Patrick Kuyler. Now, Grenier 4th, of course, he got jumped by Sowry in all of that. So, 4th for Grenier. To win the championship, Hindman's got to be 7th or lower. What we now have is Trent Hindman winning the world final with Riccardo Agostini, because with Costa off the road, Hindman gains a place and Grenier lost a place. All of a sudden, the points switch around. So that's enough to give the 101 car the title. With Grenier 4th, number 101 has got to be 7th or lower, and they're running 6th. Safety car on track then. Drivers to follow, safety car, no overtaking, of course, the instruction. And Nicolas Costa and Michael Grenier's incident is being investigated as well. I'm a bit fearful for Michael Grenier's chances out of all of this. He's been involved in 2 incidents in quick succession. And so the Canadian nationalised driver comes up the hill. He will give way to Loris Spinelli, the European champions then. Losing points, losing places, and possibly worse is to come. If they end up equal on points, incidentally, the Grenier Spinelli car and Hindman and Agostini car, you take the best combined qualifying time, and it is a better combined qualifying effort from Spinelli and Grenier. Trent Hindman, as you saw for this race, starting a little bit further back on the 4th row, so he lost out in his session against Grenier. Patrick Kuyler's car may not be the fastest, but it's still going despite the fear coming to the grid. Getting the super slow-mos here of the cars coming through Variante Alta. You can see how much curb some of them use and what that effect has as they come through the second part and the cars hit the ground once more. Trent Hindman then hustling on. So, 29 minutes of this final race of the World Final weekend remain. Pit window is closed while the safety car is on track, and that, of course, means that the drivers for the second stint have got fewer racing laps to make a difference. Yuki Nomoto will take over the second place car. There he is. It has Rafael Abati behind the wheel of it at the moment as the field works its way downhill. That safety car has been oh so busy today and yesterday in World Final races. And the rest of the field files through, the order being Brokers, Abati 1st and 2nd. Toby Sowry 3rd, Michael Grenier 4th, Kuyler 5th, Hindman 6th, Yazid 7th, Amici 8th, Kishil 9th, Bartholomew 10th, Austin Versteeg is 11th, 12th it's Catherine Legg, 13th is Rory Collingbourne. They're all in the pro class, overall class that is. Then you've got 14th heading Pro-Am, Emmanuel Onassis. Behind him is Nico Gomar. 16th now is Max Ebenal. 17th from last on the grid, Gianluca Girardi. 18th is Taylor Proto. 19th is Peter Van Ester. 20th is Paul Scheusner. And 21st is Shotab Kazava. Jonathan Cecotto is into the pit lane, having been pulled out of the gravel bed. riding on board with Emmanuel Onassis, the driver from the North American Championship, turning his way behind the safety car. When he's not racing, he has taken on the very commendable occupation of being a relief pilot to war zones and famine zones, and has raced in the Ferrari Challenge, in Star Mazda, in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, Grand Am, and recently in Lamborghinis. There is Jonathan Cecotto's car in the pit lane, which rather looks as though Vito Postiglione will not get a run in it in the second stint. Number 17 gets a 20-second time penalty, the Mikael Grenier car, for causing a collision. Car 17, Mikael Grenier, a 20-second penalty for causing a collision. Whether that's the Costa or the Cecotto one, we're not told, but in a sense, it may not matter because it's a 20-second penalty for car 17. Wherever it finishes, put 20 seconds on and it will tumble down the order. So Trent Hyman and Riccardo Agostini's chances, even though we've got 27 minutes still to go, are looking a bit rosier now. Mikael Grenier then made a mistake and ran wide, got involved in a tangle with Cecotto, got involved in another one with Nicolas Costa. The safety car will be in this lap then. The lights will be extinguished on the run down to Rivazza. It is then up to Rick Brokers to control the pace. Toby Sowry through in third, ahead of Mikael Grenier. Behind him it's Patrick Kujala, then Trent Hyman. There's Kujala in the Lamborghini Milano car. Lamborghini Bergamo as well, emblazoned on the Bonaldi car. And then Trent Hyman, even though he's up to sixth, is still staring at the back of Kujala. He'll get to sleep with that in his mind tonight. So the Flying Dutchman, Rick Brokers, leads the cars down through Rivazza, and with the safety car in this time, we will have 26 minutes of racing. They can do one more lap and then the pit window will open. Brokers accelerates away now on the run up towards the timing line. He tries to get away, and he does get away from Abati as they come through. Over the line, Brokers up front. It's half a second, Brokers to Abati, then Sowry third, Grenier fourth, Kujala fifth, Hyman sixth, Yazid, Amici, Kisiel and Bartholomew round out the top 10 as they dive towards Tamburello. And now Trent Hyman's under attack because I think Yazidi's right there, and behind him is Andrea Amici. Jack Bartholomew, the quick British driver, rounding out the top 10 at the moment in the FFF Racing Team car that he will give over to the Australian driver Richard or Spike Goddard for the second stint. The pit window is now open, so people can bail at the end of this lap, and it will be open for 4 minutes after the allotted time. In a challenge made at Tosa there by Hyman against Kujala, but Kujala's now got a bit stuck behind Grenier for fourth and fifth, those two. This is Kujala's view, that's Grenier just up the road ahead of him. Towards Piratella they come. Through that left, head downhill, and there's confirmation that number 17 will be penalised by 20 seconds then because of causing a collision. So Mikael Grenier will get the message, and that will deflate him a little. Yesterday they finished second, having led most of the race, but lost fourth gear towards the end, so they ended up losing the lead and coming home second. Fortunate, said Grenier afterwards, that there wasn't another lap, because he could have lost another place, maybe not even got to the end at all. Well, here it's a different problem, and it is a time penalty caused by driving standards that has resulted in the car being given this 20-second handicap as they come now down towards Rivazza. Who is going to be the first of those to come in and pit? We'll find out in a moment. It might be a good idea to get Hyman in, get him out of the traffic, because he's not really making the progress past Kujala. So get him out of the race, get him out of the way. In comes Grenier. Hyman stays out there to have another go at Kujala. So in comes Grenier to be very apologetic to Spinelli, no doubt, as again Hyman tries to find a way on the inside and then the outside past Kujala, but everywhere he goes, Patrick has already taped off the line. Towards Tamburello they come, in towards the left-right-left sequence. There's a very badly damaged car limping down the pit lane, which I think has just driven into the back of somebody heading into the pit lane, and it's Emmanuel Onassis, who was leading Pro-Am. You might be able to spot it in a moment in all of this, but I think as some braked and others didn't, coming into a very crowded pit, Emmanuel Onassis has gone into the back of another car and done quite a bit of damage to the front of number 130. And that's significant because he was leading Pro-Am. We'll come to that in a moment. Race leaders currently then are on lap 15, and it's still Rick Brokers then in the lead of the race. So So there, whoops, a big slide from number 203, Toby Sowry, down at Acqua Minerale. He was third on the back of Abati, and he breaks a fraction too late. The Brit slides out wide, doesn't lose a place, but he has lost a little bit of ground in all of that. So Toby Sowry will try to fight back, and he does get really close, under braking straight away. Gets back onto the tail of Abati there. You know, I mentioned that damage to Onassis' car. We're also being told of oil at pit entry now, so there's clearly been drama on pit in as the leaders drop downhill. There's a fight for fourth still, look, because you've got there Kuiler and Heinemann. This is the Toby Sowry slide coming to Acqua Minerale. The car just gets unsettled as he breaks that fraction too late and tried to turn. Caught the slide well. Toby with, I think, a good GT career ahead of him. And there is the drama. Emmanuel Onassis in, and 202 is the Rory Collingbourne Ben Gersakowski car as well. That's where the oil is and the liquid. That was a big hit that Onassis gave to somebody, presumably Collingbourne's car. Into the pit lane then comes Rafael Abati out of second place. So as the World Final weekend continues, there is still high drama on track, in the pits, you name it. It will get Yuki Inamoto. They have 1 minute and 40 seconds to do this pit stop, so they don't have to be overly rushed about it, as there you've got Bartholomew now up ahead of Kate Cozzolino, who has taken over from Afik Yazid. They climb the hill, and we're currently on lap number 17. As there, Cozzolino, who's very quick indeed, tries to have a go at Jack Bartholomew. Right up behind the pair of them, you've got the Dennis Lind Andrea Amici car. So we're cycling through the stops. The order is shuffling all the time. And Cozzolino dives for the inside line, and he goes through. Toby Sowry goes through as well. So Rick Brokers, it is leading, but in the traffic now, Sowry has dropped quite a long way back, delayed by, of course, others rejoining, other quick cars rejoining in his way. A pit stop is roughly a lap time, give or take. So it means that you lose a lap to the leaders, but it also means that the race leaders are now facing for the next few laps, with the stops cycling through more and more traffic, and that's what's caused Toby Sowry to drop away a little bit now. We'd seen the Abati car in. There's the race leader coming in then, so that is Brokers also down the pit road this time around. As we get to the end of lap 16, will be Toby Sowry and Patrick Kuiler, and Trent Hyman is in as well. So they work their way through that crash zone at pit in. The boards are there to tell drivers where they need to be. Trent Hyman sees the board and comes to Riccardo Agostini. Artur Janos gets ready to jump aboard the car of Toby Sowry. Axel Jeffries there, the Zimbabwean driver, will relay Rick Brokers. And we're getting people under investigation, one of which is the Goddard and Bartholomew car. Another one is 110, that being Beretta and Catherine Legg. Also being investigated is Gianluca Girardi and Kiko Galbiati, and also Paul Scheusner and Hendrik Still for potential pit lane infringements. 205, the FFF racing team car. The sister car in the earlier race was given a penalty for a pit stop infringement, and also now the Dennis Lind Andrea Amici 263 entry is being investigated for a possible pit lane infringement as well. So the race leader for the moment is Jan Kisiel, number 2, chased by 233, which is the Max Ebenal Mikko Escalanen car. There's Kisiel bouncing over the curbs, the pole. The Leipert Motorsport car then leads the race. He shares with the Australian Morgan Haber, but that car has got to serve its stop yet, so it will, of course, drop down the order on its pit exit. Just up the road ahead is a car we've not really come to yet. 116, Austin Versteeg started it, but Jeroen Mull, another very quick Dutch driver, is behind the wheel of it now, and Kisiel will stay out for another lap. There, down the pit lane, goes number 110. That is Michele Beretta. 2 laps down. That car may have a problem, having taken over from Catherine Legg. Meantime, back on track, Axel Jeffries there has got Inamoto and Spinelli right up behind him. This, in real terms, is the lead battle. So car 7 has hung on to it. Spinelli tries to get up the inside of number 6. Remember, 17's got the penalty, so it runs third on the track. It is then Axel Jeffries fresh into the car, trying to hang on to the race lead. Right up behind him, it is Yuki Inamoto, and then third, you've got Loris Spinelli And behind them, fourth, is an absolutely flying Dennis Lind, but with this Damoclesian investigation hanging over that car, he's about to make a move to the inside line. No, he's not. Spinelli fends him off, but Dennis Lind is throwing everything at this. He won the World Final last year. He's here to remind people how good he is in a Lamborghini after a very disappointing season in GT racing, where he's had a somewhat recalcitrant car all season. And Dennis Lind's big mission for the weekend has been effectively to walk around with a metaphorical neon sign saying, "Don't forget about me." And he's proving the point once again here. He is right there on the back of the new European champion, Loris Spinelli. 17 3/4 minutes remain. Through Rivazza come the race leaders then. They're heading up towards the timing line once more. Now there is Richard Antinucci, who comes over the timing line. He is still chasing on in pursuit of the car of Dennis Lind. Up the road is there for the race lead. Through goes Yuki Inamoto, gets himself ahead of Axel Jeffries. Is that going to give Loris Spinelli a chance to challenge as well? Let's see, not quite. Dennis Lind is right there behind them as now Spinelli goes one way, Lind goes the other. Spinelli takes second, and look at Dennis Lind diving through. Fantastic stuff. Brilliant move that, dives up the inside at Villeneuve. Great opportunistic pass, and Dennis Lind reminding people in capital letters how good he is. That was some move, and he goes charging up the inside to get third place, and he's not done yet. So we now have Yuki Inamoto as the race leader getting away. Loris Spinelli runs second. Dynamite Dennis is third, Dennis Lind, and then for fourth place, having dropped one spot, is Axel Jeffries. There in the pit lane is Jan Kittel. Let's join Dakota.
Hello, I'm with Trent right now. Trent, how was that stint? Looking pretty difficult.
Yeah, a bit frustrating, to be honest with you. It's a tough track to pass on. You know, kudos to the guys ahead. They did a hell of a job with keeping us behind. You know, for me, being the starting stint driver, the important thing is to give Ricardo a car that's still in one piece. So that was the main goal after a little while. Luckily, we were able to make up some positions just with guys getting a bit too aggressive, getting penalties, taking each other out, that sort of thing. So staying smart seemed to be a pretty good call. But yeah, overall, definitely a little bit frustrating. I know Ricardo knows his place quite well. I think he's going to move up a little bit, but we just have to stay smart, keep it clean.
He's definitely shown good pace this weekend, so good luck for the rest of the race. Thanks.
Right, so Trent Hyman's stint is done, and Riccardo Agostini, the co-driver, is behind the wheel of the car, as it is Yuki Inamoto then leading the way. There in second place is Loris Spinelli, and he has got the charging Dennis Lind right up behind him. Remember that this is a kind of notional battle anyway, because of the 20-second time penalty to be applied to Spinelli. Lind goes a little bit wide. Axel Jeffries is there fourth behind them. Fifth is Patrick Kujala. Sixth is Agostini. So back to the abacus. At the moment, Spinelli second, coming under attack from Dennis Lind. Woods gets a little tap at the back. Spinelli second and Agostini sixth would be enough to give the championship to them, as there Spinelli squeezes Dennis Lind towards the grass and into the barriers. How big an impact has that been? Dennis Lind is still on the grass. Remember, Spinelli's car's already got a 20-second time penalty for Mikael Grenier's zealotry, and there might be another one coming for that, because that was pretty brutal. There was no real need to squeeze Dennis Lind towards the grass like that by Loris Spinelli, and the officials will probably be looking at that straight away. So car 17 could find itself in yet more hot water. The point behind all of this was that, but for the penalty, they'd be winning the World Final on points. But now, with Dennis Lind losing a place, that puts Agostini fifth. It's still not enough for them, but you then add the 20 seconds to Spinelli's car. It puts them way, way down the order. But until we know exactly where the 20 seconds will drop that car, we can't do the computations. Here it is again, look. So Spinelli got a little tap from Lind, admittedly. Dennis got the run coming up the hill. Here's the move. He swings to the inside. Spinelli keeps on coming and heads it towards the grass. Dakota from the pits.
Yep, I'm now catching up with Mick Grenier. Very disappointing, Mick, about that 20-second penalty. I know how much this race means to you. How do you feel about that?
Well, for me, it was a race incident. I've made a mistake in Villeneuve, totally my fault. And Cecotto went around the outside, but then he closed the door and I was fully on the brake. I could not slow down more, and we had a little touch, but he didn't leave any space. So And then after that, had a contact with Costa, but I locked the rear entry of Vivazza, and then we were side by side and we touched. I think another race incident. I'm sad about the penalty, but what can we do now?
No, what can you do? That's racing, sorry.
Thanks, Dakota. We've just seen Dennis Lin's car out of the race then, so the damage into the wall enough to put him out. We haven't yet had any news that 17 is being investigated for its part in that. Now, 20 seconds would drop that car to 12th place and therefore to something like 10th in class, which would be enough to give Heinemann and Agostini the world final. So we continue to monitor penalties and race positions, and of course if the race continues under green flags, gaps might stretch that will cause the Spinelli Grania car to lose fewer places. A safety car bunches them all up, you lose more places, you lose more points. So a late race safety car could have implications as well. But they're heading for potentially world final success. First time the American Championship has fielded an overall world final winner. Classes, yes, but not the pro, the overall winners in the past. Up to the timing line now comes then a charging Riccardo Agostini. Yuki Namoto leads, by the way, by 4.4 seconds, and he's getting away. Drive-through penalties are coming. One of them is to 28, which is Hendrik Still. Another is for car 30, which is Kiko Galbiati. And the other is all rather academic, because Dennis Lind has been given a penalty for a pit stop infringement, but it doesn't matter because the car is stranded trackside. As you look at Agostini versus Kay Cozzolino here. Cozzolino, Asian champ, on the back of the North American champ. And to make the point again that Trent Heinemann was offering, Riccardo Agostini does know this place because he's a former Italian Formula 3 champion, Italian Carrera Cup champion. So he's done a fair few miles around Imola. Now very much part of the Lamborghini family and going strongly as the cars swoop through Piratella once more. We're on lap 21 and 11 minutes and change are on the clock. Under braking for Variante Alta there. Over the curb goes Kay Cozzolino, looking to try and take a further place away. A great shame that we lost Dennis Lind, because it had been a mighty effort. Nicolas Costa, another driver out of the race, had done the fastest lap earlier on. And there is the fight between Agostini and Cozzolino. They're running 5th and 6th on the road, 4th and 5th on corrected times. So Yuki Namoto is leading. Second on the road is Loris Spinelli, and then third, Axel Jeffries. He'll inherit second place, of course. There is charging Lucas Mauron, Lucas Ayrton Mauron, as he comes up over the line in the AGS Events car, shared with Nico Gomar. And that car now is leading in Pro-Am. We haven't really touched on Pro-Am and points because there's been so much going on at the head of the field. But that car yesterday was, what, 5th? It is currently leading. Henrik Still's car, which is second in the class, was 6th. Third in the class today is Niels Lagrange and Peter Van Ester, who were who were second yesterday. That potentially could be the car to beat on the points. We'll check when things settle down a little bit further in that class, because you've then got Calvin Snurks and Eduardo Piscopo, who is making progress back into the mix as well. There was an earlier fear I mentioned about Michele Beretta and Catherine Legg's pit stop time. That has been declared okay, so they battle on in 18th place, but a lap down, Beretta and Legg. Meantime here, Agostini is coming under a renewed attack from Kay Cozzolino, as up front we have Yuki Namoto clear now by 5 seconds from Loris Spinelli after his delay tangling with Dennis Lind. Nothing yet on the timing screen about that. There is the leader, Yuki Namoto, who had a Super Trofeo Europe win yesterday, Friday afternoon, now leading in the final part of the world final, coming up towards the line. And the Japanese driver, former Japanese Formula 4 racer, on his own as he comes through. In second over the timing line, Loris Spinelli. Axel Jeffries running third, staying in touch. And then you've got Richard Antinucci in 4th place, ahead of Riccardo Agostini and Kay Cozzolino. They're the closest two on track at the moment in the leading gaggle. 6 tenths separate them. In 7th place, it is Jeroen Mul. 8th is Spike Goddard. 9th is Morgan Haber. And then 10th is Lucas Maron, as there you look at the race leader with 8.5 minutes still to go. So down towards Tosa comes Nemoto. And there is Loris Spinelli, second on the road, but add 20 seconds to his time, and that's going to put him into 12th place, which will be out of the top 10 in class, and he won't score potentially. So it looks increasingly as though championship honours will go the way of car number 101. The other surprise in all of this, I've not quite understood, is what's happened to Arthur Janos and Toby Sowery, because again, while we've been watching other things, that car has fallen back into 11th place, having been running within the leading gaggle, of course. Earlier on, Toby Sowery did a great opening stint, but having suggested it was going to go quickly race long, it has not happened for reasons unknown, whether there was a drama in the pit lane or he got caught up in traffic somewhere. Either way, Arthur Janos is down in 11th place, trying to play catch-up now. On board with Richard Antinucci, heading down towards Rivazza. As there, Cozzolino goes ahead of Agostini. That's a change for 5th place. Agostini tries to fight back. Can't do it, and so it is now at the end of lap 23, a change for 5th spot. Okay, Cozzolino moves himself 1 spot higher up the order in the Lazio racing car, ahead of Riccardo Agostini, but still with the penalty for Loris Spinelli. The American champions, Heinemann and Agostini, are in the box seat here. Here was the move, and it was a very impressive lunge down the inside from Cozzolino. Through he went. Agostini, in fairness, tried to get the switch back, but it wasn't to be. Tense times in the pit bunkers, especially for Lazio Racing, who had already won the Asian Championship back in September at Shanghai with a win and a second. So it is Japanese driver Yuki Nemoto leading the way, ahead of Loris Spinelli, ahead of Axel Jeffries on the road, all of this, remember. But when you, at the end of the race, add the 20 seconds on to Spinelli for the penalty, it's going to be a very different order indeed. Let's go to the pits and join Dakota.
Toby, what's going on? You had such a great stint, and now you're falling back.
I'm not sure. I think we got hit by the Lazio car again, but my stint was really good. We got up to a good position, fighting for a podium. But when I was taking all my kit off, I found we were in P11, so I'm not totally sure what happened.
Yeah, other people's mistakes seem to work in your advantages, right?
Yeah, we got quite lucky with a few cars, but I think our pace is good as well, so it's representative.
Let's see what Arthur can do, thank you.
Yeah, so Arthur Janos is 11, thanks to Dakota, and hustling on to try and catch up to Lucas Maron. Another safety car might help life for him, of course, but we're running out of time, and in fact now we're almost in the last 5 minutes, so were we to get to a situation where an incident came, it might just be a red flag rather than a safety car period anyway, so I fear they're not therefore going to be able to improve. As the leaders go by, Yuki Nemoto is now getting away from Loris Spinelli, who is starting to drop away. The lap times are going up relative to those of Nemoto. The gaps are widening as well, therefore. There is Kei Cozzolino running in 5th place. We've had another change in Pro-Am, because now Lagrange and Venesta are up into 2nd. Kelvin Snooks has got his car up into 3rd. And 4th now is Eduardo Piscopo. So there, you've got Richard Antinucci hustling on, 4th place. Potentially, we could have a tie on points here between Piscopo and Proto's car and Lagrange and Venesta in Pro-Am. Some very crude maths would suggest at the moment that they are on 24 points apiece. We do have, backing up what Toby Sowery has just said, an incident involving Arthur Janos and Kei Cozzolino being investigated. So there is the charging Cozzolino, and the officials are going to have a look at that. Nothing has come of the Spinelli and Lind incident as far as I can work out. So stewards perhaps feeling that Dennis Lin could have backed out of it rather than putting himself onto the grass or putting himself in jeopardy. Either way, he's out of the race, sad to say. There is Cozzolino battling on. He runs 5th on the road. And now, as we get late into the race, the gaps are really opening up across that leading group. So the 20 seconds to be applied to Spinelli is admittedly going to drop him, but it's not going to drop him as far as it did 2 or 3 laps ago. 20 seconds cover the top 7 cars. So 20 seconds onto Spinelli's time. He's 7 seconds back. It's going to put him into 8th place. So yes, he will drop behind on points, but it could be worse. I suppose you could also argue that not winning is the biggest problem. It doesn't matter whether you finish 6th or 7th or 8th. If you're not going to win, it doesn't matter where you finish. But if the gaps continue to stretch with another 2 laps at the end of this one, there might be another place to be gained back. We'll see how it all pans out. As soon as the race is done, the timing screen will apply the penalty, and then we'll have a confirmed result. But I'm suggesting 8th place is where Spinelli and Grenier will be. That's 8th in class, which is not good enough with Heinemann heading for 5th. There is 101. Trent Heinemann and Riccardo Agostini. It's the Italian at the wheel, Riccardo Agostini, who has been one of the standout drivers in the North American season. He comes up towards the line. What a weekend they've had, these two. They won both of the North American races. They won the World Final race yesterday, and it looks as though they are going to take on points the World Final trophy at the end of the weekend as well. We've got under a lap time left in the race, so there is time for this and one more now. The race leader remains Yuki Inamoto by 7 seconds from Loris Spinelli, who is being caught by Axel Jeffries. Now, yesterday it was a gearbox problem for Spinelli. Is it a gearbox problem again, or is he starting to just become a bit demotivated, realising that the World Final dream has gone? There you can see Richard Antonucci being given a hard time by a charging Kate Cozzolino. He's been a bit aggressive, as you heard from Toby Sowery, and he's being investigated for an incident, but he's having a good go here to try and get himself past Richard Antonucci. Downhill they come. Turn their way through the double apex right at Acqua Minerale, climb the hill, onto the power, and over the brow they come once again. There is the 2nd and 3rd placed fight. Spinelli has been reeled in by Axel Jeffries, who blotted his copybook yesterday by going into the gravel, but he's made amends today. Fair play to him. Rick Broker's doing another good job in that first stint to lead the race. Here is Antonucci versus Cozzolino. This will go down to the wire. The race leaders will squeeze one more lap out of the race. There is Cozzolino to the inside. Antonucci gives him racing room and gets the cut back, and he's going to retake the place. They rub, and Antonucci goes through. He saw that coming. Invited Cozzolino up the inside, knowing that he would brake late and run wide, and he was on the perfect line to get the place back. So take that, Kay Cozzolino, says Richard Antonucci as he comes up towards the line. He's retaken the place. They start the last lap then as one. Nose to tail they go. They're running 4th and 5th on the road as they head in towards Tamburello this time. Can Cozzolino find a way through? It's 4th on the road. It's going to be the last podium place on the corrected times, of course. And it could be that Spinelli and Jeffries switch around on the last lap as well. But through Villeneuve comes Richard Antonucci, the nephew of former Grand Prix racer Eddie Cheever. And there is Kay Cozzolino again, having a little look to the inside, trying to unsettle Antonucci. If he can force a small mistake out of the American, who used to race in Europe, used to race in British Formula 3 going back well over a decade. He climbs the hill now, coming under a renewed attack from Cozzolino. They are absolutely as one. Was that a touch between them at Piratella? Either way, Antonucci is able to hang on to that place as they plunge downhill once more into Acqua Minerale. So Cozzolino is lining up, I suspect, to have another go at Ravazza, but of course Antonucci is wise to all of that, and so Cozzolino is going to have to think of something a little bit different in order to not just take but keep the place this time. Ahead of them, though, it is Yuki Inamoto, who is set to win the last race of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo World Final weekend. He's heading up towards the checkered flag. There he is. 2nd on the road is Loris Spinelli. 3rd on the road is Axel Jeffries. It's going to be a race win for Yuki Inamoto and Rafael Abate as they come across the line. Second on the road is going to be Loris Spinelli. Third, Axel Jeffries will inherit second place, and it's going to be Richard Antonucci ahead of Kate Cozzolino, and then behind them are the world final winners for 2017. Trent Hyman and Riccardo Agostini come across the line in the Wayne Taylor Racing Run car to take the world final crown as they come across the line. And they are fifth, and Loris Spinelli is put to 7th position. And so finishing behind once again confirms that the car of Trent Hyman and Riccardo Agostini is guided to world final success. Congratulations to them after a wonderful weekend. Trent Hyman is trying to take it all in, I think, looking at the timing screen, saying, have we done it? Are we sure? Really? Are we positive? Yes, you are. So well done indeed to our world final winners, also to the race winners there, because you have Yuki Nemoto and Rafael Abati making their way up towards the Parc Ferme area. Loris Spinelli and Michael Grenier then feeling perhaps a little bit hard done by, but 2 incidents Michael Grenier was talking about, and although he felt both of them were racing incidents, of course he would say that, wouldn't he? And in fairness, if you're involved in 2, there's one constant, isn't there? Well, there's Trent Hyman being congratulated. Can't quite believe what a weekend he's had, I suspect. Now, what about Pro-Am? Because Eduardo Piscopo got himself up to 3rd on the last lap, and that's enough to give them the Pro-Am championship provisionally, because that gives them 10 points for 3rd place. So 26, 24 the score of Van Ester and Lagrange. So Pro-Am world final to Eduardo Piscopo and Taylor Proto. The Pro-Am in the race, Lucas Maron and Nico Gomar the winners from Niels Lagrange and Peter Van Ester, and then 3rd Eduardo Piscopo and Taylor Proto. And of course in Pro, just to confirm, Rafael Abati and Yuki Nemoto the winners on the track from Axel Jeffries and Rick Brokers, and then Richard Antonucci and Patrick Kuyler, the champions being from car 101, Trent Hyman and Riccardo Agostini. Oh, what a race, what drama we have had all weekend. And the drivers very shortly will head up towards the podium at the end of an excellent weekend of racing. And we look forward to, as you see there, the Pro-Am race winners, Lucas Maron and Nicolas Gomar. We look forward to another excellent event next year, another superb season, no doubt, of Lamborghini racing, with the European, Asian, North American and the Middle Eastern Championship, which has been renewed for a 2nd season, all giving increasingly big grids and increasingly good racing as well. So in a moment, we'll have a chance to hear from some of the winning drivers down in the pit lane. And at the end of an excellent race, honours to Yuki Nemoto and Rafael Abati. They were victorious in the Super Trofeo Europe race that was on Friday afternoon as part of the double-header weekend for the regional championships that are all decided on the start of the weekend. They won the first race. The second to win the championship was won by Loris Spinelli and Michael Grenier. There is a very happy Yuki Nemoto being embraced by Rafael Abati. They take the race win. They don't take the world final itself, but they win the race. And 2 wins out of 4 races over the weekend is a pretty good haul, I think you'd say. So they will make their way now up onto the roof of the car, where they're all smiles. Yuki Nemoto having had a great weekend with Rafael Abati, another combination that was new, the 2 of them driving together for the first time back at Monza at the start of the season, and they've gelled nicely over the course of the season, and results have been increasingly competitive, and 2 race wins over the weekend kind of makes you think, well, the season could start here, couldn't it? The race results confirmed on the screen as Japanese and Brazilian flags are on display. Forza Yuki for Yuki Nemoto, and proud Brazilian in Rafael Abati, the co-driver of that race-winning car. Richard Antonucci says well done as he makes his way to the Benaldi team. And so there are the race-winning drivers Rafael Abate is very happy indeed. So too Yuki Imola. And celebrations all round. Excellent stuff. It's also an Italian team scoring a win on home soil. VS Racing, the VS being Vincenzo Sospiri, who has got a whole fleet of cars across the different classes and different championships. And he and his lads have been kept very busy this weekend, but it is a win for the VS Racing team for Rafael Abate and Yuki Imola. So we'll hopefully hear from them in a moment as Dakota leaps into shot to go and have a word with the winners. And there is the podium being dressed, ready to receive them. Let's hear then from the race winners.
Boys, it's been quite a good weekend for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, we had 2 wins this weekend. I don't know, it was a really good weekend. It was my first time here at Imola, so I didn't have too much experience on this track, and Yuki trusted my driving experience. And we had a perfect weekend. Hopefully we are very near to win the World Championship, but that's part of the business. Thank you very much, all my family, my girl, my sponsors, everyone who supported me during my whole life. Thank you.
What about Yuki? He's done most of the work. How about you, Yuki?
My team too, Vincenzo. Thank you.
Never that way, guys. Yuki, what did it feel like bringing it home in first place?
Oh, that was amazing. That was amazing. The car was really nice, and my teammate Rafael Abate gave me the car very well. Then I just drive to the ends, you know, and I feel very good. And I want to say thank you to my team, supporters, sponsors, everything. Thank you very much.
It's been a good day down here. Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Well, a very good day, a very good weekend for Yuki Imola and Rafael Abate as they celebrate their race win. And we can have a look at the winning car in action. A great job done by both of them. And again, it just goes to show about seat time, doesn't it? The more time you spend in one of these cars, in any car really, the better you get, the more confident you get. And the net result is a race victory in the World Final. Let's go back to Dakota.
I'm catching up with Axel and Rick. Seems like a weekend of second places for you guys. I know you probably wanted that first, Axel. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we tried. To be honest, congrats to Imola and Abate. They were really fast. But yeah, second in the world, second in the European. So it wasn't too bad. It was a good weekend.
Now, Rick, you're pretty happy with your pole position. I know you went on and on and on about it earlier. Tell me.
Yeah, of course, we were very happy with the pole position. I think it was a good starting position. In the race, I just brought the car in on P1. I pushed as much as I could. Unfortunately, the safety car reduced our gap a little bit, but in the end, it was just impossible to catch Imola. He was so strong in his first few laps.
I always say there's only one place better than pole, and it's the lead car. Congrats, guys. Go up to the podium.
So Rick Brokers and Axel Jeffries make their way to the podium, and before we go there, let's have a look at the highlights of race 2 for the pros and the pro-ams. We will have more of the highlights in a little while, but let's go to the podium first of all, where the race winners are assembling, because we have the Pro-Am celebrations getting underway. And for third place, Eduardo Piscopo and Taylor Proto. For second place, it is Niels Lagrange and Peter Van Ester. And at the top of the Pro-Am podium, Nico Gomar and Lucas Maron, who take a class win to round out what has been, for them, a very good and competitive weekend. Now the trophies for the third place drivers, who are also the world champions in Pro-Am, that being Taylor Proto, the British driver based in America, and Eduardo Piscopo, the Italian. They won the Pro-Am in the North American Championship on Friday afternoon. They win Pro-Am in the World Final on Sunday afternoon. Giorgio Sana presents the trophies to Peter Van Estre and Niels Lagrange, a good effort for second, and to the race winners, Lucas Maron and Nico Gomar, who become a new combination of drivers really racing together, and a weekend that got better and better and better over the course of the 4 races that they have enjoyed. So the winning drivers all get together for the photographs, and then in a few moments' time I suspect there will be champagne aplenty. There's one thing about Lamborghini events, they are done very well indeed, and the drivers will have the celebrations getting underway. We've enjoyed some great racing from the Super Trofeo drivers all season, all weekend, and success goes for Pro-Am to Eduardo Piscopo and Taylor Proto as the world final champions. But of course, the race winners, congratulations Lucas Maron and Nico Gomar. So the Pro-Am contingent makes its way from the podium, and we prepare ourselves next for perhaps what's going to be an even noisier celebration. It won't necessarily have the world champions upon the podium because they didn't get into the top 3. It was 5th, the final race result for Trent Heinemann and Riccardo Agostini, but Richard Antonucci and Patrick Kujala will be 3rd, Axel Jeffries and Rick Brokers 2nd, and for the top step, Yuki Inamoto and Rafael Abate, as the drivers then are being brought forward any moment once the event coordinator is happy that she has all of the drivers for the podium. Then the drivers can be brought forward. Quite a few we lost over the course of that race, but the survivors gave a great account and a great race up front, despite a problem going to the grid. 3rd place for Patrick Kujala and Richard Antonucci. Patrick has won the world final before. Richard Antonucci is a North American Championship class champion of seasons past, but they couldn't quite vanquish the Dutch-Zimbabwean partnership of their Axel Jeffries and ahead of him Rick Brokers as they step onto the podium. They were Middle East champions this year. They are runners-up in Europe and runners-up in the world final as well. But the last race of this great weekend of all things Lamborghini here at the Imola circuit goes the way of the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Team. VS Racing's Yuki Inamoto and Rafael Abate step forward. The Brazilian and Japanese partnership that has really gelled over the course of this season. They congratulate their defeated rivals. Patrick Kujala is pretty hard to force a smile from anyway, never mind when he's 3rd, but he and Richard Antonucci perhaps expected better, and the Chief Technical Officer of Automobili Lamborghini, Maurizio Reggiani, steps forward with the 3rd place trophies to a member of course, the Lamborghini program, Patrick Kujala, who was promoted from Super Trofeo into Lamborghini's GT programs. And exciting plans for him for next year, I understand, as well. For 2nd place, Axel Jeffries. Where does he go next after a very impressive debut season of GT-type racing, of Lamborghini racing, with Rick Brokers? And then Rafael Abate and Yuki Inamoto on the top step of the podium receive the trophies. And they are understandably very happy. It's not a world final win, but it's a world final race win. Our congratulations go to Riccardo Agostini and Trent Heinemann for their success as the world champions. Their trophies to be awarded in about half an hour in the prize giving down in the paddock here at Imola. There's one more group photograph to go. And all smiles. Yuki Inamoto and Rafael Abate, joined by Rick Brokers, Axel Jeffries, Richard Antonucci and Patrick Kujala. And with his Forza Yuki banner, Yuki Inamoto, trophy in the air, rounds out his weekend with a win. Now we have the final champagne spray of the weekend. Axel Jeffries drenches Rick Brokers, who gets his own back. And Rafael Abate is the last one with a cork out of the bottle. Patrick Kujala treats himself to a big long drink. Our congratulations go to not just those on the podium, but everybody involved in the World Final weekend, and our regional winners as well from the different Super Trofeo competitions. It all adds up to a great weekend of Lamborghini racing. The World Final winners then, Gerard van der Horst from Lamborghini Cup, Philip Vlasic and Florian Scholzer from the AMS. Pro-Am honours, Eduardo Piscopo and Taylor Proto, and Trent Heinemann and Riccardo Agostini are the victors in the overall World Final standings. The drivers get together on the podium for the group photograph. Let's have one last look at the highlights. Rafael Abate and Yuki Nomoto are final race winners of the Super Trofeo World Final weekend here at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari at Imola. Let's confirm the race result. It was a win for Rafael Abate and Yuki Nomoto from Axel Jeffries and Rick Brokers. Patrick Cuellar and Richard Antonucci took fourth ahead of Afik Yazid and Kay Cozzolino. The World Final winners Trent Heinemann and Riccardo Agostini fifth from Austin Versteeg and Jeroen Mul. With a 20-second penalty, Loris Spinelli and Mikael Grenier were seventh from Jack Bartholomew and Spike Goddard ahead of Jan Kissiel and Morgan Heber. Artur Janos and Toby Sowery down in 10th place. 11th went the way of Lucas Mauron and Nico Gomar, the Pro-Am winners from Niels Lagrange and Peter Benesta. Pro-Am world champions Eduardo Piscopo and Taylor Proto ahead of Shota Alcazar and Calvin Snooks. Paul Scheusner and Henrik Still were next from Kiko Galbiati and Gianluca Girardi. Mikko Eskelinen and Max Ebenal behind them, with a lap down also Michele Beretta and Catherine Legg. We lost the Lynn Amici, Gursakowski, Collingbourne cars. We lost Emmanuel Onassis and Brandon Godovic, Nicholas Costa and Eduardo Liberati, as well as the Jonathan Cicotto and Vito Postiglione entries as well. So those are the race results at the end of the World Final. The final race of the weekend. Let's just confirm who the champions were. Trent Heinemann and Riccardo Agostini were winners in the Pro category, with equal second on points Rafael Abate and Yuki Nomoto ahead of Patrick Cuellar and Richard Antonucci, and it is Abate and Nomoto that get the nod because of their better qualifying times. Then Spinelli and Grenier fourth ahead of Jeffries and Brokers, Afik Yazid and Kay Cozzolino sixth from Versteeg and Mul, Lyndon Amici eighth, ninth was Cicotto and Postiglione, and Jack Bartholomew and Spike Goddard bagged 10th. In Pro-Am at the end of the weekend, honours there for Eduardo Piscopo and Taylor Proto ahead of Niels Lagrange and Peter Venesta. 2 points in it, and a further 3 back, Lucas Mauron and Nico Gomar from Shota Alcazar and Calvin Snooks. Then Mikko Eskelinen and Max Ebenal, Brandon Godovic and Emmanuel Onassis with their points from yesterday, tied with Paul Scheisner and Henrik Still ahead of Kiko Galbiati and Gianluca Girardi. That is it from Super Trofeo World Final 2017 from Imola. From Dakota Jane and David Addison, thanks for your company. It's goodbye for now, and we'll leave you with the best images of a great weekend here in Italy. Bye-bye.